The first step is to download the wallet, the Windows wallet or your local wallet, it being Macintosh or Windows or whatever. And to do that, you want to go to the GitHub site, and I'm going to have a link down here in the comments of this video with all of these links here. So the first one's just the GitHub. And then here on the GitHub, you're going to see the different releases. So the most recent is always going to be up here at the top, and you can see the different versions. And there is a newer version here, and I am getting the Windows, so I'm going to go for the Windows version right here. And I'm going to save this. Just go to Save As. So I'm going to save it here onto the desktop. And so the wallet is really this executable. There's no installation process. The installation process sort of is just putting this executable where you want to store the executable itself. So what I suggest is not storing it here on the desktop, as it might get confusing, as you might think it's something that you don't need, or you might remove it at one point. So what I would do is put the executable in with the rest of my programs on my computer. So I'm going to go to my C drive and go to Program Files, and in here I'm going to create a new folder. And that's where I'm going to put this executable. But then I want to send a shortcut on my desktop, because I don't want to have to come into this folder every single time to open the wallet. So I'm going to do a send to desktop, and it creates a shortcut. And then I can close this. And now I can put this shortcut wherever I want. I can just leave it here on the desktop, or I can put it like in my programs area and under my Windows. I just like to leave it here on the desktop. So you just double click that. And the first time it loads up, or if you haven't started it in a long time, it needs to synchronize with the network, which basically means it's downloading the blockchain. And right now you can see that it has this progress bar. If you hover over it, it gives you a good indication where it's at. It says it's processed 520 blocks of history, and it looks like it's 4 weeks ago is the most recent block that it's found so far. So what it's doing is connecting to different computers out there. If you hover over this, you can see how many connections you have, and then you hover here and you can see how far along your blocks are. One thing I like to do to just give me a good rough idea of how well it's connecting and downloading the blockchain is I go to the debug menu, so help debug menu, come to this information tab, and here's where you can tell how many connections you have and the current block that it's downloading right now, and the time of that block. So right now it's downloading blocks that are from the 29th of April. So it's a little ways away, and as long as this number here of the current number of blocks is increasing, it could be increasing slowly, or as long as it's increasing, you are downloading the blockchain. If this number gets stuck, say for like 20 minutes or half an hour on the same block, there may be an issue, and you probably want to go check out the Discord channel and ask if anybody's having problems downloading or syncing their wallet. This is called syncing your wallet. So all we really need to do is kind of wait for this, give it some time. What I can do, and just close this, while we're waiting for this to synchronize, we can sort of get this wallet set up. And what we want in this wallet the first time we set it up is we want to go to File, or actually just go to the Receive tab. And the Receive tab, you're going to see these are your receiving addresses for your wallet. So this is where people can send you coins to the addresses in here. You're going to have one by default, so the first time you install a wallet you get one. It's not the same as anyone else's, it's just your first address. And right now it has no label. So what we want to do is we're going to give this one a label. So if you just go to Edit, I'm going to just call this one Collecting, because this is where I'm going to be collecting my coins to set up my Masternode. You can call this whatever you want. This label is just for your viewing. No one else can see what this label is, and no one else knows what you're calling this address. All they can ever see is this address. So this is just a friendly name you give to this address, so you can differentiate them inside your wallet here. So what I'm going to use this address for is when I go out onto the exchanges and purchase coins, I'm going to send them to this address after I've purchased them. And you could create 2 or 3 of these collecting, or you could say from exchange, and if it's from at different times, you can create a new address for each time you've sent coins here from the exchange. It's really up to you. To be simple though, I'm just going to create one, but you can create as many as you want. And I'm going to create one more address while we're in here. And to create a new address, you always just come down here and hit new address. And then you specify a label. You don't have to, but I like to specify it. That way I know what this address will be used for. And this will actually be my Masternode address. So my Masternode collateral address. And that term is used for the coins that you put onto an address and you lock into your Masternode. When you run a Masternode, you have to lock the coins in that Masternode so you can't spend them. And that allows you to run the Masternode, and that's what makes the network nice, is you lock all these coins in the Masternodes, and you're not, sending them to an exchange or selling them or anything. They're not being transferred around. They're locked in the system, and that kind of gives the network stability and the coin stability. So this is what this is called, is a collateral address. And really all it is where you're going to put your collateral to run your Masternode. And you want to have that address sort of a special address, because you don't want to be collecting coins on that address. As when you make that collateral transaction, which is where you send the coins to that collateral address to lock them, you're going to want to do that in one single step and for an exact amount. So what I do is I like to create this address, and I don't use it for anything but for that initial collateral transaction. And we'll get to that in a later step. But that's what this address will be for. So I'll hit OK. And now we have the two addresses. Now what we can do is we can encrypt this wallet. And you always want to encrypt the wallet before you start using it, because if you run into problems encrypting it and you fail to be able to unencrypt it, if you have coins on there and they're encrypted, you won't be able to get to them. So before I start using this wallet for collecting coins or sending coins to it or anything like that, I always want to encrypt it. So what I want to do is go to Settings, Encrypt Wallet. And in here you're going to specify the password or passphrase, whatever you want. And you want to do something very complex, because if somebody gets access to your wallet file, your wallet.dat file, or even gets on your computer while you're not watching, they could get into this wallet if they don't know the passphrase. So you want something, secure. I'm going to do something very simple here. I do not suggest you do something as simple as what I'm doing here. You should do a very secure password, or passphrase is what's recommended, which is a bunch of words. And make sure you write those down, because if you ever lose that, you'll never be able to get access to your coins. So I put in a password. It says, warning, don't lose this passphrase or you will lose your coins. Yes, I understand that. And then what it's going to do is it's going to want to restart the wallet, and that's what this is warning you, and that's perfectly fine. So what it does is it closes the wallet. Whenever you close these wallets, you always want to give them a few seconds to actually complete their closing. Sometimes they do some cleanup activities on the internal database. So sometimes you'll see a window pop up and says, don't turn off the computer or don't do anything until this is finished. I always just give it a few seconds, say 5 or 10 seconds. And then once that's done, you can open them back up the wallet. Alright, so now that we've restarted the wallet, you can see now this icon down here has a locked symbol. And what this is saying that the wallet is encrypted and locked. And those are two different terms. Encryption is putting a password on your wallet. And locked and unlocked is sort of what you do with that password. So when your wallet is encrypted, it means it has a password. But it doesn't mean it's locked yet. You have to lock the wallet, or you have to unlock the wallet to sort of secure it. Whenever you open these wallets, they always lock automatically. That protects, if your machine gets rebooted and someone turns it on and they can get into your wallet, it automatically locks it when it just turns it on. So what we want to do first thing is make sure we can unlock it. So if you go to Settings, Unlock Wallet, we're going to uncheck this for staking only box right now. This is for when you only want to unlock the wallet partially to allow it to stake rewards, but we want to unlock it fully. So we're going to uncheck that. We're going to put in our password and hit OK. And that has changed to unlocked. So it's still encrypted. That means it has a password and you can lock and unlock it. But right now it's unlocked. And this is good news. That means I can safely unlock my wallet. So I know my password. And now that I have an encrypted wallet, what I want to do is make a backup of this wallet. If I ever have a computer problem, I also want to have a backup. So before I start sending coins to this wallet, I still want to make a backup. That way I don't, send some coins and then crazy luck that the machine crashes and I don't have a backup. So before you start doing anything else, you still want to make a backup, so go to File, Backup Wallet. And then on the desktop here is where I'm going to put my backup, and I'm just going to give it a simple name, which is the coin name, and then a date. And that just lets me know exactly what this file is and when I created it. And then I also put in wallet.dat. That way I know this is a wallet file. If I just put the coin name and then a date, I wouldn't know this was a wallet file, and I may not know what to do with it. But this lets me know, hey, this is your wallet file, protect it. So if I ever, find it on a thumb drive, I realize that my wallet file is on that thumb drive and I didn't have it secure. So that lets you know, hey, this is a file you want to keep secure. I'm going to put that here on the desktop. Just hit save. And there is the backup. And what I want to do now is I want to move this backup off of this computer. You don't want to keep all your backups on the same computer that your actual wallet is, because then that sort of defeats the purpose. So I would throw this onto a thumb drive or something, or maybe a different computer. It's really up to you. But what I like to do is put it on a thumb drive, and then I throw it in my safe. And then my password I don't keep in the same location as these actual backups, because that also defeats the purpose. If you're encrypting it, but you also store the password with the encrypted file, anyone could decrypt it. So in my safe I throw the thumb drives with these backups, and then on a piece of paper is where I write my passwords, and I store that in a totally different location, not with these wallet.dat backups. So now we have our backup. I'm going to move that offline. We have our wallet and it's encrypted, and if you notice down here at the bottom, it finished what it was saying, and that means it's finished synchronizing. And you can double check that by hovering over this little checkbox, and it says, well, if I highlight the wallet, it says up to date, and it gives you the number of blocks that you're at. So up to date means good. That means this wallet is ready to start collecting coins. You don't want to start sending coins to this address, even though you were able to get this address. You don't want to start sending coins to it until you also know that this wallet can synchronize. Because if you try to send coins to this wallet and you can't synchronize, you're never going to see those coins in this wallet, and it's going to freak you out. You're going to think, you lost all your coins. So make sure that this wallet synchronizes totally. Now this wallet is good. We can go out and start purchasing coins and sending them to this wallet. So what I want to do is go out to an exchange and purchase my coins, and I'm going to send them to this address here that I called collecting. So to get that address, I right click it and just say copy address. Then I go out onto my exchange and withdraw them from the exchange and send them to this address. So you just paste it into the exchange form when you want to do the withdrawal. And I'm going to do that now. So we're just going to sit back, and I will be back in a minute after I purchase those. Okay, and we're back. And what I have done, if we come here to my transactions tab, you can see that I have purchased 3,501 coins from an exchange and sent them here to my collecting address. And the reason I did 3,501 is, well, the collateral, the Masternode collateral, 3,500 coins. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to purchase a little bit extra on the exchange. You don't want to purchase exactly 3,500 coins, because when you send them from the exchange to this wallet, you're going to have to pay a transaction fee. So when you're on the exchange, don't purchase exactly the collateral amount. Purchase one extra coin or half of a coin. Really, it's up to you. I suggest just one to make it simple, but you can, get away with a half of one or even a quarter of one if you really want. But the simple thing is just purchase one extra coin. That way you can make a ton of different transactions. You don't have to worry about not having enough coins. Because if we tried to transfer these, if I only had 3,500 coins here in this wallet, and I tried to transfer these to my Masternode collateral address, I would have to pay another transaction fee, and then I won't have exactly 3,500 coins. So just purchase that extra one and save yourself the headache. Further down the line, when you're used to this, you can probably start purchasing smaller extra coins. But to start out with, I'd say one extra one makes it simple. So we have purchased these from the exchange, and it looks like they are confirming, and it has 2 of 10 recommended. I know I sent them to myself from the exchange, so I'm going to trust that this is a safe transaction and it's good. So I'm just going to send these now to my collateral address. And I want to send these to that collateral address in one single transaction, and I want it to be for exactly 3,500 coins. So I want to get my collateral address, so I go to the Receive tab, and then copy that collateral address, and then paste it in here, and it autofills that label. That lets me know, okay, that is a address in my address book, so I have put the correct address in there. You don't want to send it to the wrong address. So this gives you a good indication that you've sent it to the correct address. And then 3,500 exactly. And now what I want to do, double check this all looks good, make sure it's one single transaction, and then we can just hit send. If you tried to send yourself, 3,000 in one transaction and then 5,000 another transaction, it wouldn't work. You need to do it in one single transaction of 3,500. This pop-up just says, hey, I'm sending 3,500 coins, and I'm going to charge you a 0.01 transaction fee. And this is the reason you needed that extra 1 coin, is because each time you do one of these transfers, you need to pay a transaction fee. So that looks good. I'm just going to hit yes. And that went away, and it's warning me, hey, or it's notifying me, hey, you sent some coins. So let's go to the transaction tab and take a look at that transaction, because this will be an important transaction for setting up this Masternode. And you can see it's this top one where it says payment to yourself. It doesn't have the address because you're just sending it between addresses in your wallet. And you're going to notice this amount is really just 0.01. So the reason this amount only shows that transaction fee is because this amount column shows coins coming in and out of your wallet. And what we did is we sent the coins from one address to another address inside of our wallet. We didn't actually send the coins outside the wallet. The only coins that left our wallet is that transaction fee, and that's why it says this. But if you want to get some more details on this transaction, you double click it, and then you can see, yes, this was that one where I sent myself 3,500 coins. So this is our collateral transaction. And what we need to do before we can actually run our Masternode is this collateral transaction has to have 16 confirmations. Right now we're at 6 of 10. And that 10 is just so you can trust that transaction, but you need 16 for the network to consider that a valid collateral transaction. So right now we only have, now we have 7. But what we can do is we can move on to the next step while we're waiting for those 16 confirmations. We don't need to sit here and wait. We can move on. And then before we actually turn on our Masternode, we'll do another double check to make sure we have 16 on that transaction. So now we're waiting for that collateral transaction to get up to 16 confirmations. We can move on to the next step, which is configuring this wallet, or configuring the Masternode on this wallet. And there's going to be one piece of information we're going to need to do that. And what we can do is go to the Help Debug window, and then go to the Console tab. And in here you're going to type Masternode genkey. And that will give you a private key for this Masternode. We're going to need this in a second when we set up the config file for this wallet. So what you need to do now is find the wallet config file. And on Windows, it is installed by default in the app data folder. So to get to that folder, you go to the search Windows or a run command of some sort, and you type %appdata, and then you click that, and it brings up your app data roaming folder, and then under here there's the folder, and then in here is your config file. Mine is set up to open with Notepad. When you try to double click that, if your machine says I don't know what to open it with, just choose Notepad and say always open these with Notepad, and that will get you going. And then there's nothing in there right now. What you want to do is go down in the comments section of this video, and you're going to see this big section here, and you're going to copy that entire thing, paste it in here, and then you're going to replace everything in here in these square brackets. So this first one here is just a RPC username and password. You want to put a legitimate username and password. You don't want to do what I'm doing, which is just putting a super generic username and password. You want to put something that's a real username and password, but it doesn't, you don't need to store this username and password. You don't need to remember it. It only exists in this file, and it's for the back-end programs to communicate. So just leave that. Now we need our external IP address. So what you want to make sure your computer that you're running this on has a static IP address, a static external IP address. And that is because if you're trying to run a Masternode, you need to communicate to the network and say where you are based on your IP address. If your IP address is changing, that's not going to work. But I know this is a static IP on this computer, and if I need to find this IP address, if I don't know it, I just go out to Google and go to Google and search for what is my IP. So now I got my IP address. You hopefully won't have to do that CAPTCHA when you search Google. I've never seen that before. Alright, so my IP address now I'm going to put it in here. And then this last piece of information is Masternode genkey value. That's the value we got from the wallet when we ran Masternode genkey. So you copy that and paste that in here. And this config file looks good. Make sure this RPC username and password are different. They're not the same. And everything looks good. We will hit file save, file exit. And what we need to do now is restart this wallet. So we'll go to file exit, give it a few seconds, make sure it actually closed, reopen it. And make sure you get some connections before you start moving on. Alright, so we got some connections. We hover over this check mark, everything's up to date. So now we do one last double check on our transaction. That was our collateral transaction. Hover over that, make sure it really is 16 confirmations. That looks good. So we will do the help debug and then console again. And in here you type masternode start. And it says your wallet is locked. So you do need to unlock your wallet before you can do that command. So go back to settings, unlock wallet. We want to unlock it fully. So type whatever password, I just told you what mine was. Don't use that password. And it is now unlocked. And now we can go back to our debug window and try to run that masternode start again. And it successfully started the masternode. So we can close this window, and you're going to notice on this masternodes tab, it's not going to show up the way that we set this up as a local masternode. It's not really a masternode that shows up here on this tab because we're not creating it as a masternode in a separate wallet. But you should be able to see it here on this masternode network tab. And you can see this is the one that we had just configured. This isn't the best indicator that your masternode is actually out on the network, because it's just saying, hey, I know that I'm on the network because I'm myself. But if you know someone else, you could have them check to make sure your masternode's visible out there, or you just kind of wait around. This first reward you get from your masternode is going to take quite a while. I've heard some people say over a day. It really just depends how the network's going at that time. I would give it at least a full day before you go into the Discord channel and say, hey, I haven't gotten a reward yet. But after, say, 24 hours, you could go in there and see if anybody knows how long it has been taking lately for your first reward. One thing you do want to make sure you do is whenever this wallet is turned off and turned back on, or your computer is turned off and turned back on, in this setup, the masternode will get turned off, and you'll have to restart the masternode. So if, let's just say this thing did exit out, and I rebooted my computer, next time I open it back up, I will have to restart that masternode. So you just go back to the help, debug window, console, and masternode start. And now it's warning me unlocked again because I forgot to unlock it. Masternode start, and it started. And that's one of the drawbacks of doing this sort of local masternode, is if your machine does turn off or your wallet turns off, you're not collecting masternode rewards, and you have to do that initial first reward sort of setup where you have to wait say, even if it's 24 hours or maybe longer. And that's one of the drawbacks of doing this. It is much simpler. You don't have to pay for that VPS, and you know your Masternode is running constantly because you can see it all the time by just going into that help, and you can type Masternode status. And you can see status is 1, which means I think it's connecting to the network right now and waiting for someone to get up there. You want a status of 9. Once this says status 9, then you know you're good. But right now it's at a 1, so I would wait, a few hours and then check if it's back up to 9. If you don't get to 9, say in like 12 hours or something like that, then you probably want to go into Discord and say, hey, something's going on with my Masternode. But this looks good. It's started, and I believe it should be fine here as soon as it's communicated out the network and started getting rewards. So now all I do is sit back and relax and let it collect rewards. One thing before I say I'm done with this wallet for today, and I'm going to move on to doing yard work or something, I see here that it's locked, and it's not unlocked for staking. You always want to leave this thing unlocked for staking. So you do unlock, and then you leave this checked. And that way, when you do get rewards, they will be staking, because you want to be staking those rewards. You get extra coins that way. So now it is encrypted and unlocked for staking. So that means I'm good. I can just minimize this, and then I can go out and do my yard work, do whatever I was going to do for the rest of the day.